Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrath Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatum, which took place on Sunday night after the Taraweeh Salat. Sunday, the 18th of Ramadan 1444, corresponding with the English date 9th of April 2023. Hazrat Wala is saying that I had no topic in my mind, tiredness also, but because we have to start our bayan and our silsila now, I have this kitab in front of me. Hazrat Tanvi said to Maulana Zafar Ahmad Sahab that make tarjuma of this kitab. This kitab used to be read out in the Khanqa of Thana Bhawan. Suni Sunai Jati thi. And Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab also used to read out this kitab. Dekhi Dikhai kitab hai. It's a kitab that we are acquainted with. The kitab of Hazrat Sayyid Ahmad Rifai Rahimahullah. So here he is saying Tarke Azbab ki zarurat nahi. There is no need for you to leave out the means. Rather, stay away from negligence and sin. He is a very great personality, and he is the very same one that the blessed hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came out of the Rawda Mubarak to greet him. So here, Hazrat Wala is giving an example that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, when he went to his own dihat and his village places where his family were, he said the same thing to them, and he explained it to them in this manner, where he took both his hands and then he put the one hand on top of the other hand, saying that I'm not asking you to abandon or to leave dunya. Rather, I'm just telling you that give preference to the akhirat, like how I got one hand over the other hand, put the akhirat on top and leave the dunya at the bottom. So the Mubarak hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came out, and Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani was also present at that time in Masjid Nabawi. He also witnessed this. So this nasihat is for all. Rather, so much so, it is also for the Nabi of Allah. The Nabi is also paband. Allah Ta'ala commands Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically that you yourself, utlu, make tilawat of the Quran Majid. Why would you make tilawat, or why would I want you to make tilawat? So that by continuously repeating the words, you will learn the words. And by continuously going over the verses, the meanings will open up to you. So he says, I'm not telling you to leave your professions, your businesses, etc. I'm not telling you to distance yourself from all type of means. Rather, I am telling you that in these works, be careful and do not become negligent, number one, of Allah, and number two, stay away from sins. I'm not telling you to abandon your wives and your children. Neither am I telling you to abandon and throw away good, lovely clothes. But rather I am saying to you that behold, that do not become so occupied with your wife and children that you actually forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm saying to you, by wearing good clothes, beautiful clothes, do not come and show pride, arrogance, and be self-conceited in front of the poor makhluk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, I am saying to you, okay. So this is deep type of knowledge. This is a deep type of knowledge. One is the farz ayn, and the other one is the farz kifaya. The farz ayn is that where we have some basic type of ilm, so much that we can read our salat, we know our farz and our wajibat. But over and above that, the farz kifaya, very deep type of knowledge, that there is also necessary. Hazrat Wala then quotes an incident of a person who comes to his friend's house. So his friend tells him, come sit down, eat. It's iftari time. But there's some type of different thing on his face. He's reluctant, etc. The friend knew him well. He gathered and he put it together and he said, okay, well, what's the worst? It could greatly be possible that you left the fold of Islam, but I'm asking you now, just sit and have a meal with me. After having that meal, he addresses his friend and says, go to Hazrat Maulana Shah Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi tomorrow morning. The friend then leaves, and the very next morning he goes in the khidmat of Hazrat Maulana Shah Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi. Now these are the awliya, and this is the type of piety and insight that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. As he comes, Hazrat Maulana Shah Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi is in his stoop, in his veranda, and he sees this person coming from the distance. When he sees him, he realizes already that athar in his face, and he gathers up. He jumps that half wall of the veranda and he starts advancing to him until he reaches him, and then he forcefully strikes him on the chest with his palm a few times, saying that, now tell me, what type of doubt do you have of Islam? I mean, the same person goes on to say, at that time when he struck me those few times on my chest, it actually felt like Iman and Islam was then restored into my heart. Now what was the whole scenario behind this here? This person was reading the kitabs of other people, due to which doubts regarding Islam, Allah and Rasul came into his heart, due to which he left the fold of Islam. So Hazrat Wala is saying that the ulama must have such type of ilm that they can drive away the challenges that are coming from evil forces against Islam and Iman. Similarly, the fuqaha must have that type of ilm that they can empower the ummah. Also, the Sufis, they must have such type of batini dalat. Yeah, Hazrat Maulana Shah Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi, I mean, look at that type of batini and internal wealth that he possessed, that already seeing this person here, he calculated that, and then he strikes him, but the person is saying that Iman was then restored in my heart. Now wasn't this here batini energy and wealth and power? Allahu Akbar. So Hazrat Wala is saying, I went to Reunion Island and I met a Naqshbandi Sheikh, and he said, you come from that part of the world, tell me about the Sheikh there, the Naqshbandi Sheikh Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi. Nevertheless, I started speaking to him about the Sheikh. He was very appreciative, and I said he had such a type of a spiritual kayfiyat that when he would make sajda, he would say that Allah Ta'ala, I actually perceive this type of spiritual state that Allah Ta'ala has made me his beloved, rather Allah Ta'ala has kissed me. Allahu Akbar. So majority of the ulama of Deoband made ruju and turned to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah for their spirituality, and the ulama of Lucknow all made ruju and made their mentor Hazrat Maulana Shah Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi, even the father of Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia Sahab, he also made ruju to Hazrat Shah Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha asked Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam about wearing beautiful, lovely outfits, etc. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, yes, there's no problem with it. Yes, do not look down upon others with that clothes that you would then adorn yourself with. Okay, so we carry on. Hazrat Sayyidina Ahmad Rifai then goes on to say, I am saying to you that over and above the basics, do not adorn and decorate yourself to such an extent that you break the hearts of the poor people. And I have a great fear on you that by doing all of this here, if you get caught in that your hearts may be tested with the trial and tribulation of negligence and self-conceitedness. I am saying to you that keep your hearts clean. But at the same time, keep your hearts and see to the purity. I am saying, he says, let me just go over that again. Keep your clothes pure and clean, but together with that, keep your hearts clean. And then he goes on to say कि दिल की सफाई कपड़ों की सफाई से मुकद्दम, that give preference to the purity of the heart over the purity of clothes, because Allah Ta'ala does not look at your clothes, rather He looks at your hearts. So read the Quran in this type of manner. So wearing good clothes, etc., not a problem. Allah Ta'ala is most beautiful and He loves beauty. Neist, bimari, chu bimari dil. There is no type of sickness greater than the ailment and sickness that grips the heart. So Qalb Salim is this heart which is sound, a pure heart, a sound heart, free from all spiritual sicknesses like jealousy, pride, self-conceitedness, etc. The list goes on. Hazrat Imam Ghazali gives the example that one of you would look at the letter of his father and he would read it so deeply because his father is in another place in a far off land, or his son for that matter. He would read it. If he can't read it, he'll ask somebody else to get it read for him. Also, after doing all of this here, what would happen? He says, if that's the case, then what about the letter of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? هذا مكتوب رب العالمين. This is the letter of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His servant. So how much more should we not carefully read this letter and see what Allah ta'ala is trying to tell us from this letter that He's addressing to us personally. So to take the servants of Allah and get them connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no greater work than that. Allah के बंदों को अल्लाह से जोड़ना उससे बढ़कर कोई काम नहीं. अला inna lillahi fi ardihi awani. Behold, verily for Allah in His land there are utensils. Ala wahiya al-qulub. Behold, it is the hearts. It is the hearts. Wahabbul awani ilallahi. And the most beautiful of these, beloved of these utensils are asfaha, the purest of them, wa aslabuha, the most firm, wa araquha. Then Imam Ghazali then goes on to remark and comment. He says, asfaha min ad-dunub, the purest of them from sins, free from all type of sins, wa aslabuha fi deen, and most firm in the matters of deen, wa araquha ala al-ikhwan, and most compassionate to that of friends. So this heart is the place where the nur and the tajalli of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends. It is the place where the gaze of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Now a person goes to these hotels and restaurants, and don't you see, if he finds that the cutlery or the plates there, etc., are dirty or not up to standard, he will never ever eat there. Now this heart is this utensil of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How much more cleaner should we not keep it? Allahu Akbar. You know, there's a khutbah that people normally read on the day of Eid, that today is the day of Eid and you're wearing such lovely clothes. We were speaking about dil ki safai, kapड़ों की सफाई से मुकद्दम, that the purity of heart should be given preference over the purity and cleanliness of clothes. So that you're wearing such lovely clothes. But what happened to the libas-e-taqwa? What happened to that libas-e-taqwa? So ilm. So respect and honor ilm in such a way that all those rights which are necessary and compulsory upon you, you fulfill them. And what is the name of ilm? And what does ilm actually mean? It is to understand the reality of the Shariat by means of the aql. इल्म नाम है हकाइक अशिया दरियाफ्त करने का शरीयत और अकल के ज़रिए से. When it is understanding the reality of things by means of the shariat and your mind to understand the reality of it. We are doing this, but what's the reality of it? How come I'm doing it? Why am I doing it? Etc. And what is the name of Iman? The name of Iman is making iqrar of it by means of your tongue and having yaqeen of it in your heart. And what is Islam? Islam नाम है शरीयत की पैरवी और तकाज़ा ए तबीयत से बेरुखी का. Islam is the name of following the Shariat. Islam means follow the Shariat and do not follow the demands or turn away from the demands of your nafs. What is true recognition? It is recognizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His oneness. Recognizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His oneness. Okay. So here, normally in Mizan, Munshaib, we learn in the Kitabs, and that you must have learned, that what is Islam? Gardan, nihadan ba'itaat, to bow down and submit by means of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But here he's saying that Islam, he gives Sayyidina Ahmad Rifai the definition of Islam in these words. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to quote this to us abundantly. He says that Islam is this here, that you follow the Shariat and you do not follow the demands of your nafs. That's Islam. Instead of following the demands of your nafs, you abandon that and you follow the demands of Shariat. So come out of the demands of your nafs, because your nafs is telling you don't make salam, you're greater than him, or this happened or that happened, now how we going to meet and what we going to do. So your nafs is saying don't make salam, and Hazrat Wala is saying for small little things we even abandon the salam. He says abandon that taqaza and demand of your nafs and make amal on what the demand of the Shariat is. The Shariat says that make salam to this person. There was a great muhaddith, and he went and spent time with his ustad 10 long years, and he says for 9 years, rather he said for 1 year I learned hadith at his feet, and for 9 long years I learned adab. Now Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahib Nanotwi, what type of knowledge he had? Hujjatul Islam. He got majority of his knowledge all through adab. Today people don't even have adab of their mentors and their sheikhs. Hazrat Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala an went to Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha asking her for nasihat, and then she advises him that if any person does anything to please the makhluk, then most definitely Allah Ta'ala will become unpleased, but Allah Ta'ala will displease the makhluk as well. And if a person does something to please Allah, Allah will be happy. But in doing all of that, if the makhluk becomes unhappy, Allah Ta'ala will make them then be happy with this person. Allahu Akbar. So this is a very, very great person, Sayyidina Ahmad Rifai. And he used to go and say that those people who love me, my dua to Allah is that Allah, you gather them with me in Jannah. I wrote on that point there, I wrote it down there, that Allah, I am also from amongst the lovers of Sayyidina Ahmad Rifai, therefore gather me with him in Jannah. Allahu Akbar. Allah Ta'ala अपने मशाइख की तालीमात को पेश नज़र रखने की तौफीक अता फरमाए. Allah Ta'ala give our mashayikh, give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of following the talimat of our mashayikh. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of protecting our deen. This is our deen. If we don't protect it and look after it, who will do? Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of staying upon our deen and walking this path of deen to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So here he goes on to say that niyat ko pak rakho, keep your niyat always clean and pure. Adab ko pukhta karo, make your adab, your etiquettes, your culture, your manners, your respect, make it solid. And the hakikat of it is, har cheez ko uske mauka mein rakha jaye, is that keeping everything in its right place. There was a buzruk, and on one occasion, in the praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he uttered these words and couplets: Muhammadun basharun la kal bashari, bal huwa yaqutun bain al hajari. Muhammad is a human, but not just like any other ordinary human. Bal huwa yaqutun bain al hajari. Rather, he's a great precious gem in front of all other stones. He got ilham at that time that Allah Ta'ala had made his maghfirat and the maghfirat of all those that were sitting in that gathering at that time. Due to which, when he had this, he made his ma'mul, his practice thereafter, always to read these couplets in the praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his every gathering. So in name, all are called stones. Pattar, naam mein ek hai. In name, they are all the same. That pebble is lying on the side of the road, that and is a stone. And that stone in the jeweler's store is also a stone. But in hakikat, in reality, there is a world of difference between the two stones. And that is the reality and the fact of the matter, that in name, we are all human, but in reality, there is a world of difference between us and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Ta'ala, the objective of this roza is to get taqwa. Taqwa is when we get piety. Piety is when we abandon all these evil type of characteristics, jealousy, hatred, pride, etc. Hazrat Maulana Abrahul Haq Saheb, when he came to Baytul Ma'arif, he quoted the ayat of the Quran Majid, وَذَرُوا ظَاهِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَبَاطِنَا, abandon the external type of sins and the internal type. And when he spoke about the internal type, he made reference to all these type of spiritual sicknesses and maladies: hasad, jealousy, pride, hatred, etc. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making amal. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.